Hey everybody, welcome to our weekly open mic. We do this because you requested we do it. On this call, we're going to be talking about new things in the product, bugs we fixed, and then also have some of your peers present what they've been building so you can do some R&D or robbing and duplicating. Just a few reminders, this is a very technical call. So if you're a decision maker or an owner, just be aware that this is where your automation people come to talk. This is their safe place. Also, our most successful MSPs who automate the most use Discord. They use the public channels to help their peers, and then they use their private channel to simply ask questions. I don't know of any successful automation MSPs that don't ask any questions. Let's see, what else? If you are engaging with us in Discord, please respond in a thread or tag us because we are monitoring many different channels at the same time. And don't forget, add time savings to your workflows. And with that, I'm going to pass this back to Ash.
All right, so we have a few vacations happening, and we're going to shuffle and merge a few things together. So our Danial with an A, the EH, our version. Funny to have to say that. There's another one on sometimes on the call, but he's going to jump in and do our dev demo, and then he is going to put on his figurative hat and do his marketplace demo after that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Danial Show. Give more demos after if needed. Okay, so it's we have a couple of new features. One that is partially launched. We're working on I guess testing more of our features before fully launching them. So the first new thing that we have is fairly minor. We updated the DNS filter integration description to be more accurate. The other thing that we have started the launch on is the new dashboard. So some of you may have already seen this. We're going to continue with the launch next week with the hopes that that it could be fully launched by end of the week next week. But we're we are oh, great. Thanks, Kellen. But yeah, we're trying to launch this in pieces to customers so we can collect feedback on the way and make sure that we're not messing with anybody's information from their dashboard. So the next thing that we'll talk about are some bugs, fixes, and chores. Some generic actions we're having follow redirect errors. Specifically, we found this with Adigy, but the change that we made did affect other generic actions that were failing. So we fixed that. There was a broken Microsoft CSP action. That is now fixed. There's an attribute error for SonicWall NSM when you save your integration or refresh your org mapping. So we fixed that. And then there was a not authorized error when unpacking crates last Friday. We noticed that for a short period of time, and it was fixed within a couple of hours. So as for what's coming up, we have a whole bunch of integrations that we're working on. IT Portal, Synix, Cove, GitHub. Those are all in the works right now, as well as Bitdefender. And I think there's one more. Oh, Crushbank is another one that we're working on at the moment. We still are working on granular forms permissions. We have some other work going on in the background that is we're waiting on to push these forms permissions specifically with our role-based authentication platform that we use. So yeah, we're working on that. New dashboard is still going to be deployed out over the next week, and then the new org picker as well. We're also still code reviewing the multiplayer workflows that were demoed by Pizza a couple of weeks ago. That just allows you to see other people who are accessing that same workflow. So I'll quickly just hop over to this dashboard. This is what the new dashboard is going to look like. It has a lot of the same information and a bit extra. some added functionality, so you can still switch between weeks and months. You can go back as many months as you want, up to, I think it was earlier this year that we actually started tracking a lot of this information or storing this information for you. You'll notice here there's a download CSV report button. So that works, and it will spit out a report that looks kind of like this. It keeps track of the amount of tasks you ran and amount of seconds saved that you had. We have some just some of our kind of blog posts and informational material on the right. Integrations needing attention, which is exists on the current dashboard, and then your workflow execution information down at the bottom as well. Oh, Kelvin, please no. Yeah, so that's it for the dev update. Now let's move on to the marketplace. Okay, so we don't have any new crates this week. We have a few new crates on the go, and I would say in the short term, we're focusing on our top 10 crates that we've identified. So things like onboard, offboard, just-in-time admin access, and a few others that we're really focusing on trying to make sure that they are succeeding at our desired rates, or at to a level that's acceptable. And then we're working on a few other crates as well that I'll talk about in a second. We had a few bug fixes this week that we've been working on, a couple to new user onboarding, specifically when purchasing NCE licenses via PAX 8. We also had to update the IMIBot set to needs onboarding action. I think this is a generic action to pagination false because it was causing a failure in the onboarding crate. And then we fixed a Jinja error on the GDAP permissions crate. As for what's coming soon, like I mentioned, we're doing some quite large refactors to our top 10 crates, our Stewart's favorite crates. We have the SonicWall firmware update crate that's still on the go, a workstation offboarding crate, and a utility crate for error handling and reporting that are also in the works right now. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Daniel. All right. So now we are going to jump over to another man of many hats, Brandon. Take it away.
Hey, yo, happy Friday, everyone. Happy birthday, Adam. All right, let's go ahead and share my screen here. Let's see. All right, can everybody see my screen? Yes. Okay. All right, got a few updates, but first, as always, I'm going to go ahead and start with my game tip of the week. My question to you all is, have you ever heard of the Hyperkin Superboy? Because I just discovered this. It's probably old news for people, but it's basically a repackaged Super Nintendo that you can put actual cartridges in and play in handheld. And it's completely unnecessary, but super freaking cool. So if you're interested in handheld gaming, but you still want to put that cartridge back in your actual Super Nintendo, check out that Superboy. It's about $100, I think, is what I saw. I don't know. I just bought it. I didn't even look at the price. I was so excited. All right. Anyway, shout outs to Cyril, Shannon, Chase, Chris, H, Evan, Anthony, Matthew, Brendan, Leonda, I think, Hugh, David, Michael, Alan, as in developer Alan, and Victoria, and Ray J with a perfect score. Shout outs to you guys for passing the certification exam. Good work. It is awesome. And you will get your prestigious certified Rooster badge in Discord and access to our not so super secret Discord channel. So congrats, everyone. For those of you who are new in your learning journey, we would highly encourage you to check out our content on Rewst.help in the Cluck University section and get certified. So we're excited for those of you who have done that. Thank you. Check us out in the Cluck U Discord channel if you are going through your learning journey, or even if you've been certified and you have any questions, feel free to pop in there. You will have the legendary Eddie Chow in there, making sure you guys have what you need, among others. So check that out if you need any help. Otherwise, we have our office hours available where you can jump in if you have any questions about anything related to what you're learning, or even if you're trying to implement what you're learning. Those are going to be on Thursdays, and we have signups here as well. All right, so a couple of updates here on my side, and then I'm going to throw it over to Clea for a few updates. So we have our 205 up in video form. So if you're interested in taking the 200 series, we have the live trainings available with the legendary Eddie Chow and self-serve with the legendary Eddie Chow. And we have some exciting news coming around possibly something related to a certification, something like that. Maybe I shouldn't have linked that too early, but we'll keep you updated on everything that is coming. So stay tuned for some of those updates. Otherwise, we have our classic reminders here. We do have some avenues for giving us feedback if you are interested in giving us feedback. Otherwise, you can toss all of your questions, comments, concerns at your incredible CSMs, and they will funnel that our way as well. We have some updates to pages. So we did some just general page cleanup, minor edits. The GoDaddy integration setup page API access limit disclaimer has been added. We have our open mic up from last week for those of you who missed it. And we have some change in the final steps in the Kaseya VSA integration setup. So that is it for me. I'm going to throw it over to Clea here. She's got some cool stuff to show off.
Hello, only one hat today, but I feel like I'm carrying the weight of 39 weeks worth of hats in my belly. Today is my last day before maternity leave, and I just wanted to thank everyone who's attended the Foundation's training. I learned everything from Eddie, so anything I get wrong or taught you wrong, blame him. No, I'm kidding. We are getting ready to finalize and launch the new self-paced videos for Rewst 100, which is now going to get rid of numbers because numbers are kind of tough to keep up with and change as we scale. So I thought I would give you a preview of the first lesson of the new course. This is hidden behind the scenes, but it's coming very soon. So hopefully I'm sharing the right screen. Sadly, I don't have a desktop background of Danial with an A with hearts all over it, but you know, future goals. So kind of a rough draft of a course intro page here. We highly recommend completing all the getting started resources before diving into Foundation, so you'll see a few reminders there. We would love your feedback on the new stuff, so creating a mechanism to collect that, and of course we'll have live support for you in Discord as well as ongoing office hours. But here is a little preview of the first lesson. It gives you very clear timestamps of little bite-sized or nugget-sized modules. We begin with introduction to scoping. Automation is more. Shout out to our fantastic editor, Ike, for making me sound not like a heavily pregnant person and just putting together a really nice video, abbreviated, short, to the point. There will be documentation on everything, so if you hate videos or hate seeing my face, you can do that instead. No offense. We've got an action item for every module, so you get some hands-on learning or something really to do to help you grasp what you are going through. We've got module sequences and the next one. And after you make it through the final module, which gives you a preview of all the new lessons that are coming up, also bite-sized, you can complete the knowledge check, get credit as usual, and keep going or go back a step. There's no harm in going back a step. I went back many a step when I was learning Rewst, so we hope that the new self-paced experience really works well for folks. Let us know. And thanks to the team for getting it across the finish line.
Thank you
That's
so
it for
much,
me.
Clea, and thank you, Brandon, and good luck. We hope to have a visitor on the open mic really soon, and we can see how everything turned out. Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So just making sure I'm not forgetting anything here. I don't think I am. Nope. All right. Yeah. So we're on to demos. And the first one that we are going to start with is Mendy. Hi, Mendy.
Wow.
Welcome to the open mic. Do you want to introduce yourself? It's been a while.
Sure. It's been a while. I think last time I was doing something, the number of attendees was like maybe 30 or or 40 or something. So yeah. Hi, I'm Menti. I'm founder of Rising Tide Consulting Group. Daniel, I forgot I existed. Well, I won't take offense. Adam, happy birthday. Thank you, Kelvin, for reminding me. And I do Rewst Pro Services, Halo Consulting, who do stuff, a little bit of MSP, everything. I am CEO of MSP Geek and am very embedded into community. And so that's really not bragging about what I do. I'm just explaining why I'm not always on these calls and not sharing. It's like my excuse. I've got a lot going on. But today I'm going to take you through obviously some Halo Rewst and Calendly stuff. Something that I've been meaning to do a video on my channel, and I just haven't gone around to it. So this will be the first time the actual back end is explored on what it is that I do, or one of the things that we've done. So this is basically a test ticket that I just created under the Harry Potter user inside my Rewst demo ABC company client. And one of the things that I do with consulting is I send out Calendly links to get booked. And the way this works is I created a custom field inside of Halo that presents the Calendly link inside of here. And then what I did is if I were to just open up this link and pull up any one of these days that's available, I have to go pretty far to find one. I'm asking for like the ticket number because I want to take this number and I want to basically sync the appointment back into my ticketing system, and I'm essentially going to build out on my ticket a list of all the appointments that I have. And the problem is that if I send this out to a client, I'm like, okay, fill this out. It gets really annoying because they don't want to populate this information every time. So what I'd have is inside of Halo, I come here and I email the user. The Calendly link is right here. And what I can do is I have a booking link can text, which uses query parameters, populating these values with dollar variables from Halo, right? Now, you're all thinking like, okay, we're done with Halo. Like, why are you showing me Halo? I want to see Rewst. This is not a Halo call. But just showing the final side, the first front end of this, if I take my Calendly link and I go find an available slot and I populate, it's actually filled in with information from Halo. So this is just one small piece of the integration that I have. The second half of that is that inside of Rewst, if I pull that up really quickly, we've got this workflow that I don't have folders, so I have to tag everything very neatly. I have two workflows. One sets up the integration of Calendly in the first place, and the second one basically listens to webhooks here. So I actually had a couple of different ways this was happening. These first two, this one is eventually going to be utilized to cancel and delete the appointment. I haven't done anything with it yet. This was an old way that I was integrating using another third-party RPA that was talking to Rewst. I was like chaining RPAs because there was a native Calendly integration. When I eventually figured out the webhooks to Rewst, I stopped using this, and now I'm using the native Rewst one, where I basically get the Calendly information. I pull the ticket number off of the request from here, from this question, and then I basically create an action in Halo indicating that it's been booked. Then the next thing that I do, which is kind of like the cool side of things, is that I have a sub workflow that it gets called, passing in information like the join link, the Teams meeting join link, the action ID that was created here, and then I also include the ticket number and the agent email of who it was that was booked. So inside here, I basically process that. I determine the agent information from Halo, like who I am, and then I can use Halo's API to query Graph API through Halo's integration, because Halo is essentially a completely API-backed platform. Everything is through the API. Anything that we do in the interface is through the API. In the interface, there's a manual import of appointments. So I'm basically stealing that API call to do the exact same thing so that I can find that specific appointment. At which point here, I'm using that join link that I've passed in to basically identify this is a unique appointment because every join link is unique. So I identify that appointment, and I tell Halo to then import that appointment using the exact API call that Halo themselves uses if you manually import. essentially bringing that into the ticket. So that's the automation I do. And if you want to see it actually work, we can go ahead and populate this and schedule the event. And then we can go to our workflow run, which we'll see it's running right now. It'll go through and get the ticket. It adds the action. So if I go back to the ticket now, even though I didn't send the email out, you can see that Harry Potter now booked time on the ticket, right? It's basically instant. We now also see, once the second half of it runs, we will see the appointment pop up here, which I don't know why. Still running. There it goes. Now it's succeeded. Okay, come back here. Let me just refresh. There we go. So now we have the appointment, and we basically have it here. And so essentially, as I book time, as my clients book time with me, it all comes into Halo, and I've basically built a full end-to-end Calendly integration where I can send a link out to Calendly. Through Calendly, I can send a link out that populates the details automatically, and then when they book, it automatically comes back to my Halo for a complete integration. The only thing that's missing, and I'm actively working on, so like where I'm taking this to the next level, is that we now have multiple consultants. I just hired a few more people. And right now we have a problem where call recordings end up everywhere because Microsoft Teams meetings, especially with Calendly, ends up as a personal meeting, and those recordings go into your personal SharePoint. So what I've been doing or thinking about is we want to create a channel for every client, basically. And we want the meetings to happen in that channel. And there is no way to create an appointment as a channel meeting. It's just impossible except through the Microsoft Teams interface. What you have to do is you have to create via graph the channel meeting, grab the join link, and then create the appointment, putting the join link inside of it. And this is something that I've just discovered over the last few days. So what I've been doing is I went back to Calendly, and I added the ability to basically, if I just go back here and change this link to be this one, and we can just come here. If I go and start booking time on, it's an hour meeting, so I have to find one further out. But I basically now have a location option inside of Calendly. And this is a custom string right now. But if I choose client channel right here, and then I populate my name, Harry Potter, obviously, that's me, right? Harry@modernrmm.com. Company name is ABC Company. And the ticket number is 2936 or something like that. Looks like. Come back here. Where'd I go? 2936. That's not 293. There we go. So what's going to happen is I've basically told Calendly to not create the Teams meeting. And I'm using Rewst to hijack that, that webhook. And instead of it just syncing it to Halo, one of the things it's going to do is it's going to go and once it realizes it's not a Teams meeting, it's going to go ahead and find the appointment using something else. It's going to use the Calendly cancel link to find it. So right after the get exchange appointments, which is right here, it's going to realize it's a channel meeting using the condition. It's going to find the Calendly details by parsing the join link, which was the raw payload. And then it's going to try to find that with this ridiculous raw text. After that, it goes through, pulls the channel team from Halo. I'm recording that information inside of Halo. And then I'm going to create the actual channel meeting with these graph calls that I'm then going to be able to do, which I have to finish. I'm going to then grab that join link, right? So this looked like it was successful. And here's the data back with the join URL, right? So I can take this join URL and go populate the original event with the join information, essentially now giving me the ability to put all of my meetings into the channel in Microsoft Teams, which I might be able to screen share out. Let's see if it worked, if I can find it. Here it is. And I can't pop out to new window, so that's annoying. But yeah, the meeting did get created, and I'll be able to take this and populate my event and basically wrap up this final thing to get all recordings into organized channels for each client moving forward. This whole thing also required me to start creating like channels for every client, which I used Rewst to do by looping through Halo and recording that channel ID back to Halo, which means I have additional room to grow for like, you know, conversations for external users, bring my clients into Teams to talk to them, tying Halo notifications to the specific Teams channel for that client, and other kinds of cool automations that we may not be able to think of right now. And that's it. That's my demo.
Thank you so much, Mendy. Do we have any questions? I was keeping an eye. I saw a lot of reactions coming through, so it looks like you got a lot of fans, but cool. All right. Kelvin asked how much time is actually saved because it's impressive.
So it took about, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours to actually get to this point with just the channel meeting stuff. As far as the Calendly integration, it took me only 2 or 3 hours to build it like months ago, and the amount of time it saved back then was significant. So it's like collective savings that adds up over time as you go iterative improvement on automation, which is kind of the whole point of the automation journey. But right now, like the biggest challenge that we have that we're trying to deal with is the fact that our recordings are literally ending up all over the place, and getting access to clients to those recordings is painful. Getting us access to them is painful if we need to go back and reference them. If we have a chat that goes on during the meeting, they all end up in different chats in different meetings, right? If we can get it all into the channel, then we have it all grouped correctly in an organized fashion with all the files in one place. So, I mean, I can't even estimate the time savings there. It's going to be significant, the level of overhead it's going to save us. And this is only for a few hours. Like, this is a problem we struggled with for a few days and how to solve it, but the actual work only took, you know, 4 to 6 hours, depending on whose resources, because I did lean on the Roc to handle that tape format thing last night.
And what is it that you like more about, or what made you choose Calendly over using like Microsoft's bookings?
Yeah, Calendly lets me, I don't know if you caught all the different roles that I play in my life, but I have like 5 or 6 different calendars that are involved, and Calendly covers all of them. So if you're booking time on me, it's looking at all of my calendars to identify if I'm available or not. And there are some functionalities and features in Calendly that you just can't do in Microsoft Booking. It's very powerful, including having custom calendar types that override or allow you to overbook other events. And it's just like the level of functionality there is insane.
The scalability and iteration on cloud-based SaaS platforms for stuff like that is always where the shadow IT wars come in, right? Because people are like, yeah, sure, Microsoft has something that can do this, but I can use this other tool for this very singular thing, and it's much more functional for that specific purpose. That's fun. Yeah. All right, thank you. We brought us to 3:30. I love the in-depth demos that you give us. Thank you. Brandon, you are up next, and I think unless anybody else raises their hand that they've got something, you're whatever you want to show us, and then we're gonna roll right into Q&A time. So stick around, Brandon and Mendy, to help with Q&A time.
Awesome. It is the return of the Brand Witch.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me get my windows rearranged here. Hello, everyone. It's been a few weeks. The city of Redlands, where we're based out of, has been literally on fire for the past week or so. So been dealing with that, but we're back. So one of the things that we have been doing for our ProServe customers is license consolidation and keeping track of what people are using. Do they need it still? Because at least at our MSP and some of the MSPs we help, we tend to have a large volume of we need to offboard this user tickets, coincidentally right around the time when finance sends everyone their invoices every month, because people like to fire people and not tell their IT department about it. So to make things a little bit easier on the 365 side, we wanted to come up with a way to proactively notify customers of the MSPs of, here are the license users you have that are enabled. Here's information you can take to decide if they still need to be enabled. And here's a quick way you can just offboard them and be done with it. So let me share my screen out. And before I get started, I want to wish Adam a very happy birthday. So happy birthday, Adam. Everyone tell Adam happy birthday in the chat. Awesome. So pretty simple workflow. We just have a few things here. We'll dive into the sub workflows in a minute. But basically, this is a workflow that runs on a schedule for every single one of our customers here. So as always, we're going to start off with a defined beginning and then go into an action that is listing users. We're going to do a few filters on this. We're going to make sure the account is enabled first off, and then we're going to return a number of items back. We're going to get the display name, the mail, ID, assign licenses, and sign-in activity. One thing to note, sign-in activity is something you do need Entra Premium to return out of the Graph API. You will get a API error if you don't have Premium because you can't return that value without it. So just make sure this is running on customers with Entra ID P1 or P2. Once you get that, you're going to get a response here. And what I'm doing is just filtering out users as long as they have some fashion license. So I'm doing a for loop. So for user in user, as long as that user has a assigned license count greater than 0, go ahead and add them to the output of this variable here. So that's all well and good. But the problem is when we get this out of Microsoft, you can see the SKU IDs are not superhuman readable. I don't know if you want to send CBDC 14AB and the whole rest of this to your end customers and expect them to know what that means. So we're going to take a further step before we send out the information. We're going to go ahead and get the friendly licenses. And Rewst actually has a super cool template that they use in their Roc workflows that we can pull from here. So we're going to go for each licensed user, go ahead and get their license details. And then we're going to flow this into the 365 lookup table, which is a template. This is the Roc template for, once it loads, license lookup. And you can see they've done the legwork of mapping the display name, string ID, GUID, service plan information for all of the different possible licenses that Microsoft may have. So thank you, Roc, for doing this large bulk of work for me. Once we get that, we're going to go ahead and map the licenses together. This is going to be a Jinja query. So product display name for license in the license table. And then for user license, we're going to go ahead and look up the string ID. If the string ID matches an ID in the lookup table, go ahead and make a list of it. We're going to go ahead and deduplicate things down into unique licenses and then spit that information out. What this looks like in here. And while I'm here, if anyone is ever trying to get into reviewing results and you don't see all of the results you think, make sure this toggle is turned on to include sub workflows. You'll see a whole lot more information returned back at that point. But we can see we've passed in the information for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We can see in the information here that we're able to go down and look and turn this long GUID for Business Premium into Microsoft 365 Business Premium. Nice readable name out of that. So once we collect all this information together, we're going to bubble this back up to our master workflow here, and then we're going to get a list of friendly names. And then we can send the report out. So this is a report going out of SMTP to go. We have the license report for organization name. This is just the org that's running the workflow. And then we have an HTML document here written with my good friend ChatGPT. I talk about this a lot on the Roc calls, but if anyone's trying to get a good HTML document spun up, just ask GPT to make it for you. It's pretty good at that. So we have a user license report. Please find the list of enabled license users below. And we are just iterating for user in that friendly name list. Go ahead and list out their display name, their mail, their license, and sign-in activity. What we're doing here is we're taking the current time, we're subtracting 7 days from it, and we're saying if this number is less than the last sign-in time, then go ahead and put a check mark on there saying they've signed in the last 7 days. If it's not, put an X on there. And then in the last field, I'll get into this in just a second, but we have an offboard user button. This is going to a webhook for this automatic user offboard. And we're using some URL queries to input information we need. So we're inputting the organization ID to fill out the correct trigger for the correct organization. And then we're running a query for user ID, requester, and then username of the user. So a lot of code. What does it actually look like? Let's go ahead and run this. And we'll find out. This is our lab environment, so I am hoping that the fixes to licensing and AD sync that I did very rapidly before I started presenting today is working. Awesome. And I just got an email from licensing at edutop.tech. So we can see we have a number of users in here. Because this is a lab environment, none of them have signed in the last 7 days, but we have a nice formatted table. If there was more than one license assigned, you would see, since it's bulleted here, a list of them, but we can see all the users of the organization, their email, their signed licenses, if they signed in the last 7 days with that little emoji, and then an option to offboard user. So let's give that a try. We haven't had Goots make Goots sign in within the last 7 days, so he must be terminated. Sorry, Goots. It's honking at too many people to be a productive working environment. So we'll click on offboard user. Awesome. Now we can see that the URL here has been filled in. So the trigger ID is going to remain the same ID for all the triggers, and the information after that is going to be the organization ID. So we're dynamically generating the correct trigger URL for the organization, and then we're putting a number of information in here. We have their Goots user ID, the requester information of the person who received the email, so we can log who actually clicked the button, and then the username of the user to offboard to fill in the information here. And we get a nice confirmation, success. Your request to offboard has been received, ticket's been created, you and the user supervisor will receive the confirmation email. So what is this going to do? Let's talk about the trigger first. So because we are doing a GET request on a webhook, we are able to have this response body. And I am building another HTML document dynamically off the information we get here. So params data is going to be just a JSON dump of the request information. And then we're going to fill in details. So we're going to say, if the params data username is defined, this is the minimum amount of information we need to offboard the username. So we're going to give the success information at that point. If params data does not contain a username, we can't do anything with this, and we don't want to tell the user it worked when it didn't. So we're going to generate a different message. We're going to say, oops, something went wrong. It looks like you clicked the link to offboard an employee, but information we need to complete this request was lost along the way. Not to worry, if you're seeing this, we've been alerted with a ticket. So we can display different information to the end user depending on what is filled in those queries out of this response body object. Very important thing to do if you're building HTML in your response queries, make sure you set the response header to content type text HTML. Otherwise, it may not render correctly in all browsers. Once we click that, we're going to do another check to make sure that the required values are present. If it is, we're going to go ahead and make a ticket or PSA saying, hey, we need to offboard someone. Deactivate user. We're going to fill the board type, subtype, and item information all out so it's all perfectly dispatched. Company is going to be the company that requested it because we're filling in the trigger dynamically rather than having one trigger for all companies. And then we're going to proceed with the offboard. We're going to get user information that may be missing out of that request. We're going to get information on their manager. If they don't have one, that's okay. This is just optional, so we're going to proceed anyway if it fails. And then we're going to dive right into the offboarding employee workflow. So we have requester, supervisor, ticket ID. This is a big sub workflow that ultimately flows one layer deeper into the Rewst sub workflow. Looks like this, pretty easy. Once that's done, if it worked, we'll add a success note. We'll close the ticket out, and we're good to go. And the success note is going to create a time entry as well, so we can track time in our PSA for the offboarding. If it doesn't work, any of these errors here that aren't getting the manager are going to be terminating errors. It means we can't proceed any further, so we're going to go ahead and actually report that error to an actionable ticket on our board. So let's see if this ticket got created here. Again, this is a lab environment, so we may have had an issue, but I'm going to go ahead and pull up our PSA in the other window here and see if I can show off what that looks like. While we're waiting, let's see if we have a successful run here. Yeah, we are running. Awesome. So get manager failed because there was no manager, but that's okay. We flowed it right back into the invoke onboard, and it is proceeding as expected. And if we go to our service board, I will bet you that we have a nice ticket for that. Awesome. All right, now I can drag this over. So we can see we have a ticket. Went under the default company contact for the company, offboarding request for Goots McGoots. It is triaged correctly into help desk. It is in progress because the workflow is running and did not have an error. It is a general account management deactivate user ticket. And it is updating the ticket as it goes. And then we can see it does also log in the initial information, who requested it and what account to offboard. So we can keep track of who's clicking the buttons there. So we'll refresh this, and as this goes on, we will see a response and hopefully a completion on there. While we are waiting for this to do the things, are there any questions?
There
I
were
had one
two
a
that I
little- oh.
noticed. Oh, you can ask yours directly.
Okay, thank you. Brandon, I didn't see any confirmation when you clicked on the link. How does it handle stuff like Defender, clicking on all the offboarding links?
It doesn't.
So would Defender offboard all my users?
Potentially. I actually, so we're using Defender internally with URL rewrites, and we actually haven't seen that yet. So
Okay,
that is a good
interesting.
call out.
Please be careful.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you,
so
Kelvin.
Devin had the same idea. Like SaveLink offboard, SaveLinks would offboard
Yeah.
everyone.
Interesting.
In the chat, Devin wanted to know how long it took you to make that.
Oh, how long did it take to make this?
Yeah.
About an afternoon, 4 or 5 hours. We're using a lot of sub workflows here, but yeah, it looks like we need to add another action into the primary webhook to do a further confirmation, which we can actually do because we have a bit of time left here. So unless there's any actual extra information or extra questions, we can go through that.
Everybody wants to see Brandon live update his workflow.
I had a question for you, Brandon. In the first
Yeah.
workflow, you just looked at active users. But what happens if a user is inactive but still has licenses? Are you skipping those on purpose, or is that just you're taking care of
Yes.
that in some other workflow?
We have another workflow that runs that checks for licensed but disabled users, and it makes a help desk ticket for us to action on it or exclude them from the checks.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get a new workflow going, and then we can fix this. So before we flow into this automatic user offboard, we are going to want to do a offboard confirmation. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just copy the information we have here and make a new webhook. I can type the word confirm, turn that on. Webhook. I'll come back to the overrides in a moment. Perfect. And then we want this content type to be text HTML so it renders correctly. All right. So what we want to do is take the webhook URL we're getting for the actual workflow that offboards it, and instead flow it into the web page we're going to render on the other one. So let's go ahead and take the URL building we do over here. Just like this. In fact, I'll steal that href link as well. That's the automatic offboard. This is the confirmation. So your request has been received, and then instead we're going to say, please click here to confirm you want to offboard. And then I will grab this element here. Perfect. And I'll get rid of that success too, just so we have a confirmation. Awesome. So that should be good there, and I'll put in our etop help lab for that. We'll save. Good to go. Awesome. And then we'll create our beginning element, which is going to be called Thank You, Kelvin, with a description of also curse you, Kelvin. And then we're going to go ahead and float into HTTP action that calls what we need to call for the offboarding. Actually, no, we don't even need to do that because we're going to click it in the upstream. That's what comes out of the trigger. So we're just going to instead take this description out, and we're going to make an end no op, and we're going to call this no op curse you, Calvin. Awesome. We'll save that. Join the cyber drain. CTF, by the way. Cool. All right. Now all we need to do is go ahead and get the webhook trigger ID. Do this. And we're going to replace it over here with generate consolidation report. Then we'll get rid of the org ID since we're going to fill that in separately. Okay. Cool. Let's try this again. I may need to do a little bit of extra changes on the way that URL is formatted, but just so I can actually see what it comes out as, we'll run it through a test. While we're waiting, if Aaron is still here, do you have any features you need to leak today? I'm just looking over the chat. It has been a little bit of time since Aaron stressed out the marketing team.
Hey, I'm here. Who should I stress out?
I think you should stress out marketing again.
Well,
To be fair, he didn't get the chance to leak multiplayer, which was a coordinated effort on everybody's part.
I think that was planned. I think I should just say that app platform is released. Would that stress out? Who would that stress out? Daniel with an A?
That would stress out George,
Yeah,
Aaron, and I'm not
that'd
sure
stress
that's an
me out
enemy
probably,
you can
yeah.
afford to make.
What do you mean? I've been ready to release that platform for months.
Then do it.
You won't. All right, I have nothing to leak, but I do have to say the folk, is there anyone on this call that was in the small distribution for the new dashboard? Let's see. I guess not. I was hoping to get some feedback.
A few hopefuls, but
All right.
That's all I
Thank
got.
you. Thank you, Aaron. Just in case anyone missed it, app platform is now in production per the CEO and owner of Rewst, Aaron Chernin. Please direct any questions to him directly. Anyway.
If it doesn't appear for you, yeah, send him an email directly.
Yep. If he doesn't respond, you can also reach out to adam@rewst.io because it is his birthday today. Happy birthday, Adam. Anyway. 4 or 5 method not allowed. What does this mean? It means we are trying to run a GET request on a webhook that is only allowing a post, which is because I didn't change this to not be post. So this needs to be GET. And let's refresh this, and it should give us something different now. It doesn't. That means something's broken in our query. Pop open DevTools. What is the raw response? It's probably going to still be nothing, but yeah, nothing. Well, we have our query string being passed in properly. So what is the issue here that is preventing it from loading? Unfortunately, because we're doing something far outside the scope of what the platform is supposed to be doing, we don't have a way to look at the execution of rendering in the response body as we normally would. What we can do, though, is just respond with what this params data is. So I'm going to go ahead and X out of that. Here, everyone in the chat, hold on to this for me. Thanks. Let's go ahead and just output params data. Someone remind me to change that webhook ID when I'm done here. All right, let's see if it gets spit out. Cool. Okay. So this is ugly. Quester is their user ID, so it should be params.userid, right? Let's see. Offboard confirmation. .params. .user ID. Does that give us what we want? Does that just shrink it down to one thing? No. Okay. That does not give us what we want. But why? What are we missing here? Grant dropped it. Okay, we'll have to make it again.
Because you're dumping it as a JSON string.
Am I? Yeah, I am.
Right there, JSON dump.
Yeah,
JSON
you're
dump
right.
was right there. So that's why.
And stop it from spreading. Move your car into a well-lit area with direct sunlight and open all windows and doors to air out the vehicle.
What?
Thanks.
Sounds like someone's
Someone's
cars
I
on
thought
fire.
that was somebody asking a question for a second legitimately. I was trying to follow along.
Oh, you know what?
Hey,
Yeah,
while
you're
you're
right,
wor-
Mandy. I'm going from JSON dump and then I'm piping it back into JSON, which is probably
So-
not.
Oh, why would you do that?
Because I want to stress you out specifically.
Okay, sure. I feel stressed.
Someone direct messaged me and said that Adam had a app platform demo. Is that true?
Okay, yeah, there goes Aaron stressing people out. That was a DM to Aaron and internal, and I don't even know if Adam is around. So yeah, thanks, Aaron.
I heard he built something in that platform for his birthday, so should probably have him show
Can't you
that.
just set it to request and then just use request? You don't need to pipe to JSON or pump to JSON dump, right?
Probably.
Yeah, and then just use params data would work.
Does
So if
anyone
it's
have
being-
any questions while this is being built? I feel bad. But I'm
Really
gonna help
funny if the
people.
trigger saves doesn't actually publish the workflow, by the way, you actually still have to publish the workflow, potentially. That'd be also kind of funny.
I don't think so, because I was able to change it earlier.
Oh yeah,
Let's see what
you did
happens.
change it, yeah. Never mind.
Yeah. All right. Well, we know that it is working over here, so let's do
Try
some.
using request maybe.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it's like an object from the back end. Let's just do it this way, and then we can come back and do some further debugging when I don't have 153 people staring at me.
Watching you.
Yeah,
Don't you feel the pressure? I mean,
a little bit. Yeah.
like, why can't you get it working already?
Let's just copy this. I have too many tabs open. There we go. All right. That should give me what I want. There is a direct graph of the usefulness of change commits, both in Rewst and just Git commits in general. The more you submit it, the more useful they are. They go down.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, cool. That works. All right. Who still has the thing I posted in the chat? Who hold on to that for me? Don't
It's
everyone
up on
type
my
it at once.
screen, but
Nah, I got it. Someone posted the XKCD too for the usefulness of those commit messages, which is exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. Okay. So let's start replacing information here. How do we know what's wrong? We can go. Username is this. Ooh, that's fun. Because I need to put those in double
don't you
brackets.
have a loop going on or something? If user params username is defined.
Yeah, it's just making sure that the parameters are being piped in properly.
Because it looks like you're looping. Or is
Yeah,
that
so I
just
pulled
taken
this.
from, or this is taken from another action that was looping? Okay, got it.
Yeah, it was.
You gotta
So
replace all that stuff.
yeah, I got to replace all that, but it should be the same name, so I can just replace username with requester and user ID with user underscore ID.
We're coming up here too, so we've got 3 minutes left. Just heads up for everyone. Wanted to give us an opportunity to say thanks there. But we're gonna keep watching Brandon in the meantime, unless he's ready to stop. So
Let's find out. Still nothing. Okay, it's still broken. Why are we broken? What are we missing here?
Didn't just
Because
fail.
I have that.
Oh, you're
that-
expressing nothing.
Oh, that didn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. See checks organization ID. Oh, you know what? I also don't have that. I don't think that exists yet. Let's just, for fun here, I'm gonna
Type
hard code
DL.
something. Yeah. Actually, it doesn't matter. It's just gonna be an href I can look at. We'll have to pipe that in a different way. Probably pass it through a query again. Okay, everything should exist now. Just double, triple check. Yes. I'm almost positive it's in that URL. Hey, cool, there we go. Okay, click here to confirm you want to offboard, and this URL looks to be like what I want it to look like. I just need a way to pass over the organization ID for the workflow that I need, because it's not there. Awesome. Cool. Well, what we can do then is add to the query that we generate for the confirmation. One of two things we can do. We can either use regex to pull it out of the URL that's already been generated, or just pass it as a query on here. Let's just do this because they don't charge you per letter in there. Org ID.
Not yet, anyways.
Not
Too many
yet.
ideas.
pause
They
for a
charge you
moment to
for,
say goodbye and thank you to everybody
What's the
who
time?
does have
All right,
to
it's
drop
time.
off. Thank you, Mindy, Brandon, Daniel, Clea, Brandon. I said Brandon twice, but that was intentional. Daniel twice. Thank you guys. Thank you, everyone. Good night, Moon. We'll see you all next week on same bat time and same bat channel.
No, I'm fine. He just finished.
Thank you, everybody.
Meow. Meow.
Thank you, everybody.
Meow. Meow.
Do you want to hang out and have an after show, or are we closing up?
I have to go. So
Meow.
Feel free to
See you,
stick around
Calvin.
if you want to. I've got a few minutes, but
Happy birthday, Adam.
if anybody needs
See you
to drop
later.
off, by all means, drop off.
I want to see if I can get this running with the correct information, and then we'll drop off here. This is significantly less YOLO when I'm actually developing and I have time to think, but this is like go, 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 fast, fast, fast. So, all right. So this should be, let's just copy this, and this should be org ID, and then we'll be done. Yeah, it does that. Params.org ID. All right, close, submit, save. Let's run this top level again. Come on, SMTP to go. I believe in you. Yes. Okay. I see it here. Let's see what this shows as. Awesome. Okay. And we should have an org ID in there now. So if I click on that, success, request has been received. Now let's make sure it actually triggered the thing. We can go to automatic user offboard, look at recent runs, and can we see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson getting fired in real time? We sure can. All right, well, 2 minutes over, but thank you everyone for sticking around. I feel like in a
And
more
that's actually
production.
Alex. We started 2 minutes late. So
There we go. I think what would actually be best in a more production version of this is to send it to a form so they can actually put in their offboard options, like who they want to share it to and stuff. But as a quick V1 thrown together for the Roc call today, I'm pretty happy with this. So thank you, everyone.
thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you guys again. We'll see everyone next week. Bye.
See y'all.
Meow. Round 2.